Greetings and welcome to the Saco City Council meeting for Monday, November 7, 2022. They call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Let the record reflect that all the city councilors are present. With that, I'd like to invite you all to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Up first, under general, there is a Lung Cancer Awareness Month proclamation. Office of the Mayor, Lung Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer death among men and women in the United States and in Maine in 2021, accounting for more deaths than colon cancer, breast cancer, and prostate cancer combined. And whereas, according to the Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention, there were 1,396 new lung cancer cases and 920 deaths because of lung cancer in 2017 in Maine. And whereas the 5-year survival rate for localized lung cancer is 59% and only 17% of lung cancers are diagnosed at this stage. And whereas screening for lung cancer for high-risk individuals using low-dose computed tomography can lead to the early detection of lung cancer and save lives. And funding for lung cancer research trails far behind funding for research of many other cancers, and additional research is needed for early diagnosis, screening, and treatment for lung cancer, as well as lung cancer affecting women and lung cancer health disparities. And whereas women diagnosed with lung cancer are more likely to be younger and never smokers, lung cancer incidence and mortality rates in women are rising relative to men. More women die from lung cancer than breast cancer every year, and by 2035 it is expected that more women will die from lung cancer than men. And whereas African Americans have the highest lung cancer incidence and mortality of all races, and disparities in lung cancer screening, diagnosis, treatment, and mortality rates are well characterized among African Americans and other racial minorities. Now, therefore, I, William Doyle, Mayor of Saco, do hereby proclaim November as Lung Cancer Awareness Month in Saco and recognize the need for research in lung cancer affecting women, lung cancer health disparities, and encourage all citizens to learn about lung cancer and early detection through lung cancer screening. Thank you very much. Item B, I'd like to welcome up Commissioner Sickard for District 3, your York County Commissioner, and he's here to provide us a little update. Commissioner Sickard.
Great, thanks for having me today. And I just wanted to, before my term expires the end of next month, to give you a final update on the opera situation. 40 million federal funds that York County has been looking at for about a year and a half now. The good news, and you probably heard about it, seen it in the paper, is we, after that long, hot battle, we got the 3 votes and secured the purchase of a regional dredge. So first job, I hope, will be Saco Bay. Just to give an idea of the timeline there, what I'd like to do is just give you a broad overview of all the opera funds to date and then open it up for any questions. The overview on the dredge itself is 6 to 8 months for delivery. So we're almost the end of the year now, so we're looking at taking delivery next summer. The title will remain in the county's name until such time as the entity is formed, is financed primarily through the city of Saco, and up and running, has hired an executive director, captain of the boat, whatever structure is deemed. And that leaves us time for training in summer, fall of 2023. But the dredge season, as I understand, is actually December to April, so the first jobs, if you will, would actually be 23, 24. So that's all good, and it was a 3-2 vote. Took a long while to get there, but we got it done. Saco Bay, and then up and down York Coast, and possibly even further up and down the Maine coast as needed and as these jobs come forward. That, of course, will be the operating money moving forward, would be these jobs that come in. You may have heard already, we've funded $1.5 million for the St. Andrews Teen Center. That is presently taking place. That's a $3 million retrofit, and not only teens of Biddeford, Saco, Old Orchard, all the surrounding communities, commercial kitchen. Downstairs we'll have a homeless shelter for teens. Sorry to say, there's nothing now in York County for a teen homeless shelter. You know, I'm ashamed to say that. We have to ship them out or let them go there on the streets. They get a bus ticket or hitchhike to Portland, and, you know, there's nothing there. That hopefully will be the first step in taking care and helping that. We've also done about $1.5 million for some housing down in the York Kittery area, some much needed affordable housing down in that area, which if you think Biddeford Saco is expensive, it is, but go down to York Wells, that area, it's crazy. And about $1 million or so of retrofitting our own county buildings, mostly with air circulators and so forth. You're dealing with some 100-year-old buildings that really needed some work. The largest part of the $40 million dollar-wise is the piece I shared with you, and the campus map is here. So 75 acres we own at the jail campus, and we changing that name. That sounds kind of punitive, but the York County Layman Way campus, if you will. First responders training. Right now, they're hard to attract. They're more difficult to train and keep certified because you have to go here, there, and everywhere and saying, well, this training is offered this weekend, but you've got to go to Bangor, and it'll all be in Alfred, one way. Police, fire, EMT, firing range, the whole 9 yards. We're partnering with York County Community College, so it'll be all certified training. They offer EMT certification courses. I believe it's a 2-year program, I may be wrong. And Biddeford and Sanford Voc Ed, so that these guys and gals can come get their certification and actually work in the area. So we're excited about that. $15 to $17 million price tag, and we're getting quotes there. For the campus, we've just hired general contractors and so forth, so we're still very early in the engineering and general contracting process to get bids, but that will be operationally self-supporting as these people come and train. There are fees involved and so forth to pay not only the instructors, but help maintain the building as well. And they've formed our York County Fire Chief and his department have formed a nonprofit, a foundation, so they're actually raising money, talking to foundations across Maine and across the country that will help fund some of this as well. So there may be several $1 million of that price tag that we can, and I liken it to a hospital, naming rights to some of the classrooms and cafeterias and firing range could be the Glock, you know, these type of things, but they pay good money to have their names there. And the one that I'm the most excited about, if you get the Press Herald, and they don't print on Monday, but if you haven't been online, the front page story is York County plans the first county-run recovery center in Maine. After 4 years on the county board, serving this last year as chairman, this is the one that I'm most proud of, because this will leave the legacy of saving lives and turning people around. We're the only county in the state that has been operating, in about 3.5 years, the Layman Way Recovery Center with 24 beds, most time full, doing our little part to try to take first-time nonviolent offenders out of the judicial system into recovery. Most of them are in trouble because they're stealing to support a drug habit, and they're young, 18 to 20-something usually. That's part of the picture. By expanding, giving them their own building, expanding to 58 beds, to do a regional freestanding detox, medicated assisted treatment, intensive outpatient aftercare, case management, this will be a game changer. And that's not my words. Read some of the quotes in today's article. It's really something that is much needed, rather than putting people in jail, in the hospital, on waiting lists to be shipped out of state for the most part and go pay 30 grand for an inpatient facility in Florida or something like that. Who's got that kind of cash laying around? Most families don't. And it is families. It's not just supporting the individual with the substance abuse problem. It affects their entire family. So we're very proud of that. We'll have a capacity to serve 150 individuals on medication assisted, 100 in case management, 75 in outpatient or aftercare once it's fully operational. That comes with a $5 to $6 million annual operating budget, but by working with the state and Maine Care, who finally, after proving to them the Layman Center worked after 3 years, is willing now to send some money our way. $5 to $6 million of that hopefully will be funded by Maine Care. Number 3 on the list, because once you get people rehab, they have to have some place to go. They have to have a job, and we can get them a job, but can't send them back to where they came in most cases. That's where the addiction occurred. I put on that supportive housing. We had an agreement with Sanford Housing to put a 40-unit single-bedroom housing facility on the campus. That, I found out last week, was initially turned down by the Alfred Planning Board. So, not that the project has stopped. We will still work with Sanford Housing, but it looks like they'll have to probably put it in to the city limits of Sanford, which may be a blessing in disguise. It'll be on the bus lines as opposed to over in Alfred. It will be closer to the large box stores, Walmart, Tractor Supply, Lowe's, and so forth, which primarily their first jobs out of recovery usually are to get back on their feet. So we're a little disappointed, but knowing that Sanford has always supported these projects. The advantage to the housing authority was they were going to be given the land for free. We were going to deed it to them. They had funds to build it, so that all worked. Now the project goes up a little more because they'll probably have to purchase some land. So that is in a nutshell of what we got going on for $40 million in a year and a half of work, and I'll open it up to any question the councilor might have.
Thank you, Commissioner Sickard. Any questions for Commissioner Sickard? Councilor Hatch.
Thank you, Mayor Doyle. I just want to make a public acknowledgement of thanks to all the work that went into this. I can't imagine the hours spent on trying to prioritize projects, endless hours, I'm sure, and not to disparage the importance of all these projects, because they are important. From my standpoint, helping us with that dredge project was a big plus for the city of Saco. So thank you, Al.
Thank you. We probably would have lost it if I hadn't gotten it done by January.
Any further questions for Commissioner Sickard? Commissioner Sickard, thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much. Thank you
Have a
for your
good evening.
support.
That brings us to the end of general, moves us on to item 5 of tonight's agenda, and that is committee correspondence to council. Any committee correspondence at this time? Councilor Hatch.
Thank you, Mayor Doyle. I've got a couple of committee updates. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that the Age-Friendly Saco had a wellness fair at Thornton Academy on Saturday. It was extremely well attended. There were over 100 participants. We had lots of breakout sessions for the folks who were there to learn about different benefits that are available to them within the community, including sessions on ADUs and some of the property tax programs. We had 4 city staff folks who gave up their time on a Saturday morning to come and make a presentation. We had Sean McCarthy, Brooke Colbert, and Jason Garnham were there. And Deputy Chief Pendleton was also there, but he is a board member of Age Friendly Saco, and he was there to help with the administration of the program. In addition to that, B-Soup Transit had a presence there as a vendor. It was kind of cool. They brought the electric bus, and I, for the first time, had a chance to actually get on the bus and go for a ride, and it was quite interesting to have that experience. Chad Hyde, the executive director, was there on the vehicle as a tour guide. And that exercise was very well received as well. And then one last note, as we are here this evening, across the river, GP-COG is entertaining a community outreach for their Vision Zero program, and what that is an attempt to collectively within multiple communities try to determine ways in which our streets can be safer. And Vision Zero means no fatalities ever. It's a bold statement. So I know that the city has sent out web links for surveys. The Vision Zero folks are looking for input from the community, so our communications department has indicated that they have pushed those links out in our various web communication. So I would encourage the general public to weigh in on this, and Councilor Johnson and I serve on Traffic Safety Committee. By far the number one issue we have to deal with constantly is traffic safety, pedestrian safety, and bicycle safety. So here's an opportunity for us to engage in some broader discussion and potentially access some broader funding to help us alleviate some of these problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further? Councilor McPhail?
Thank you. Hard to believe that with the last 3 days of 70-plus weather, the Festival of Trees at the museum is starting. Just wanted to give some important dates. The festival will actually kick off on November 25th and run through December 29th. This is our 18th year. Some dates to set aside is Saturday, December 3rd from 9:30 to 12 at the library. We have the Children's Craft Fair. Saturday, December 10th at the library, we do have the Tea with Mrs. Claus. That event is by reservation, and you can contact the library or the museum to make your reservation. And then Sunday, December 11th, is the Visit with Santa, and that is going to be at the museum from 12:30 to 3. From the first day of the event, November 25th through December 15th, raffle tickets will be available, and the hours of the festival will run during the regular hours of the museum. So you can check the website or Facebook page for those hours. And again, it's going to be another great season. We've got a lot of good sponsors, some beautiful trees, and we hope to see everybody there.
Thank you very much. Councilor Archer?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last Thursday, the Biddeford Saco Chamber of Commerce held a workforce development committee. This committee reconvened due to a hiatus related to COVID. Any stakeholders that are out there in the workforce development world, that can be employers, it can be nonprofits, the government, the city of Saco was represented. Please reach out to Jim LaBelle at the chamber, and we'll get you into the next meeting. At this time, we've taken December off only due to the holidays, and we'll reconvene in January. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further committee correspondence to council at this time? Moving on to item 6, public comment. There's nobody that signed up at the beginning of the meeting. If there's any member of the public that would like to address the city council, please come forward and be heard. With nobody seeking recognition, moving on to item 7, approval of the minutes. There are no minutes. That brings us to item 8, the consent agenda. There are 5 items on the consent agenda. Item A is to confirm mayor's appointments to Conservation Commission of Eric Brokowski, Justin Hill, and Matthew Hokinson, Item B is confirm mayor's appointments to Historic Preservation Commission, elevating Tom Hardy and then appointing Chris Delano. Item C is confirm mayor's appointment to the Planning Board of Ryan Prescott. Item D is confirmation of warden and war clerk appointments. And item E is application for license to operate Beano Bingo from the Biddeford Saco Elks Lodge, number 1597. Is there a motion to, does anyone want to take anything off the consent agenda? Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Councilor Berman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Hatch. Any discussion on the consent agenda items? With no discussion, roll call vote. Councilor Archer.
Aye.
Councilor Purdy.
Yes.
Councilor Gunn.
Yes.
Councilor Berman.
Yes.
Councilor Hatch.
Yes.
Councilor McPhail.
Yes.
Councilor Johnston.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. That brings us to item 9, which is action items. There are 2 items for action this evening. Item A is a public hearing, Chapter 81 request to purchase city-owned property, 9 Pearl Ave, page 16 in your packet, assigned to Councilor Berman.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jack Hughes, owner of the property located at 7 Pearl Ave, Lot 37 of Tax Map 1, submitted a request for the Planning Board and City Council to consider selling the neighboring parcel to the east, 9 Pearl Avenue, Lot 36 of Tax Map 1, to him so we can maintain the areas abutting his property and expand a deck. 9 Pearl Avenue contains a section of seawall and public beach areas. The Planning Board voted 5-1 to forward a negative recommendation to City Council during their September meeting. The Planning Board's negative recommendation is based on advice received from the City Solicitor and Public Works Director, who state that the subject property may be needed by the City and Army Corps of Engineers for future projects. Planning staff conclude that the City Council has several options to consider. 1, vote to deny the request and retain public ownership of 9 Pearl Ave. 2, vote to sell only that portion of 9 Pearl Ave that is necessary for Mr. Hughes to achieve his objectives. This would generally comprise those areas that are above or landward of the seawall. 3, vote to deny the request, retain public ownership of 9 Pearl Ave, and advise Mr. Hughes to apply for a contract zone agreement by which the council may authorize use or development of his property which does not comply with zoning standards. Or 4, vote to deny request, retain public ownership of 9 Pearl Ave, and advise planning staff and the planning board to devise provisions for administrative variances in Saco zoning ordinance. Such variances would enable property owners to seek limited relief from specific zoning standards, provided criteria related to public health and safety and minimizing impacts on neighboring areas are met. Councilors asked for additional information about Mr. Hughes' construction plans during the October 24th meeting. This information is unknown by city staff at this time. I move to open a public hearing for the Chapter 81 request to sell a city-owned property identified as Tax Map 1, Lot 36.
Motion's been made by Councilor Berman to open the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Johnston to open the public hearing. Any discussion on opening the public hearing? Roll call vote to open the public hearing. Councilor Archer.
Aye.
Councilor Purdy.
Yes.
Councilor Gunn.
Yes.
Councilor Berman.
Yes.
Councilor Hatch.
Yes.
Councilor McPhail.
Yes.
Councilor Johnston.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 at 6:53 p.m. If there's anybody who would like to speak on this issue related to Chapter 81 request to purchase city-owned property, 9 Pearl Ave, please come forward and be heard. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm David Plavin. I live at 2 Surf Street, Saco. I'm the Vice President of SOS Saco Bay. I speak neither in favor or opposition of this, other than the fact that I know some of the councilors, Councilor Archer, I know for sure, mentioned that we should be looking at this with some sort of discretion, that a PPA is pending. City Administrator Canrath is working with the Army Corps to get that, and until we get a PPA, I would hate to see that this land would not be accessible to the city or the Army Corps if they so needed it to perform any work out in the bay. So I only ask that the council use some discretion before coming to a conclusion, especially if they're leaning toward giving up the land to the homeowner. I have no opposition to that ultimately, but if it comes down to a point where we need to use this land, the city should have access to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jane Karen, 264 Lincoln Street in Saco, and my position, it remains the same, that Number 2 option may not be the best option for the city of Saco. There are several unknowns as to what type of deck and the dimensions, and then the EPA, all of these other questions. So the other options might be something that can be worked out for Mr. Hughes, but I do believe that we should retain ownership of that property, and I appreciate your time.
If there's anyone else who would like to speak on this item, please come forward and be heard.
Hello, everyone. Kelly Archer, 185 Bradley Street. I think that, I believe more information is needed before, so you can have an informed decision. Thank you.
Any further comments on action item A? With nobody seeking recognition, Councilor Berman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to close the public hearing and to schedule the final reading for November 14th, 2022.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Berman, second by Councilor Johnston. Any discussion on closing the public hearing and setting final reading for the 14th? No discussion being sought. Roll call vote. Councilor Archer?
Aye.
Councilor Purdy?
Yes.
Councilor Gunn?
Yes.
Councilor Berman?
Yes.
Councilor Hatch?
Yes.
Councilor McPhail?
Yes.
Councilor Johnston?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 at 6:56 p.m. Councilor Berman, you're not able to be here next week to read that. Is there a council that wishes to be the liaison for this item to come forward? Councilor Hatch, thank you very much. With that brings us to action item B, page 18 in your packet, one reading, a petition for city acceptance of Leighton Way as a new public street in the Innis Landing subdivision. Councilor Purdy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Doug Foglio of Formex Development LLC requests city acceptance of a new public street, Leighton Way, in accordance with Section 911 of Saco subdivision ordinance and Chapter 186 of Saco City Code, city acceptance of improvements. Leighton Way was approved as part of the Innis Landing subdivision in 2018. The project included 16 residential lots on Leighton Way, which is accessed from Flag Pond Road and Jenkins Road, per the recorded subdivision plan. City Attorney Murphy and City Engineer Joe Laveria determined the project to be complete and found the as-built plan, the meets and bounds description, and the deed of cession to be accurate and acceptable. The Planning Board voted 6-0 to forward a positive recommendation to the City Council during their October 4th meeting. I move to accept Leighton Way as a public city street.
Motion's been made by Councilor Purdy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Hatch to accept Leighton Way as a public street. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote. Councilor Archer?
Aye.
Councilor Purdy?
Yes.
Councilor Gunn?
Yes.
Councilor Berman?
Yes.
Councilor Hatch?
Yes.
Councilor McPhail?
Yes.
Councilor Johnston?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 to approve Leighton Way as a public street. That brings us to item 10 on the agenda, and that is new business. We have a new business. Item A is investment services presentation. City Administrator Canrath.
Thank you. So I'll just open it up. As you may know, we recently underwent an RFP process for investment advisory services. A staff committee was formed to interview the RFP submissions. The winning bidder and candidate was Dave Javahari from Morgan Stanley. He was selected mainly due to his experience working with municipalities and also his ties and knowledge of our area of New England. So he's here tonight to give us a brief presentation and introduction. So, Dave?
Thank you, and good evening. And thank you for having me. I'm Dave Javahari. I am part of a group in Morgan Stanley in Massachusetts, actually. However, my family has ties to southern Maine, specifically Scarborough. And I have experience with other Maine communities and working with them. And as Brian mentioned, there was a very thorough process that the city went through to identify an appropriate outfit that could help the city manage the excess cash. And that's specifically what my group does with Morgan Stanley and a couple other things that I'll mention. So my discussion today will only last about 2 hours. And I'm kidding. I was just going to give a high-level summary. I don't have any fancy stuff, just talking, because it's a very basic portfolio. However, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to work with the city. I'm very much looking forward to it. So, at a high level, essentially, the city, as everyone knows, or maybe doesn't know, but has excess cash. Interest rates have been rising quite rapidly and unexpectedly over the last 10 months, and we find it's really important for the city to make more interest income. And we've got a strategy. Very specifically, it's a U.S. Treasury only portfolio. So it's a portfolio of individual U.S. Treasuries and U.S. agencies that I specifically, in addition to my team, manage. We buy individual securities that will be coming due between now and the end of the fiscal year. So everything will be coming due June 30th, 2023. And that is by design. Currently, right now, not to get too specific, but we're north of 4%. And our goal is to significantly improve your interest income over the next handful of months between now and June 30th and into the future. I'm also working with your finance professionals to further utilize excess cash, not disrupt liquidity, not disrupt the operations of the city, obviously, and cash flow, to maximize. The beauty of it is all the principal is protected. It's all U.S. Treasuries, and it's all fixed interest. And it all comes due June 30th, or ideally before. We have a third-party custodian. So Morgan Stanley and myself are the investment advisor and the fiduciary. The funds are actually sitting at an authorized depository U.S. bank. And then the third thing that we do that's quite unique is we utilize another outside company to monitor the city's investment policy statement, which I've personally reviewed. And it's a very robust statement. It's about the extent of the excitement.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Councilor Hatch?
I just want to acknowledge this is a long time in coming to have an opportunity to actually, for the municipality or anybody to be investing short-term at that type of interest rate. So I'm eager to see the impact on our next budget cycle. I think it can.
Glennis and Jerry, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy that we have taken this step and are moving in that direction.
Great. I'm happy and excited to be working with the city.
Any further questions, comments? Thank you for your presentation. Have a good evening. Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Everyone as well.
That brings us past the new business items. There's item 11 is administrative update. City Administrator Canrath.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Starting off, Camp Ellis Architectural Study, the HPC, partnered with Kleinfelder over the summer to create the Camp Ellis Architectural Study and Climate Resiliency Report. If you live in Camp Ellis or are interested in learning more about the report, please come to the Camp Ellis Neighborhood Meeting. It's going to be hosted by HPC on November 17th at 6 p.m. in the second floor auditorium right here at Saco City Hall. During this meeting, Assistant City Planner Shannon Chisholm will be giving a brief presentation on the climate resiliency options outlined by the report. The HPC will also be hosting an open forum to gather information regarding whether or not residents of Camp Ellis would like to establish a historic district in their neighborhood. The Camp Ellis neighborhood meeting will be streamed live on the City of Saco Facebook page for those who would like to participate remotely. If you're unable to attend the meeting but would like to provide comments, please email our Assistant City Planner Shannon Chisholm at schisholm@sacomaine.org. You can also access the Camp Ellis Architectural Study and Climate Resiliency Report on the HPC page of the City of Saco's website. Just one more reminder on our wastewater upgrade facility RFQ opportunity out there. Those responses are due November 14th. This is a very big deal for the City of Saco, so please spread the word. Anyone interested, please get those documents in by November 14th. Lastly, just to follow what Commissioner Sicard said earlier on our regional dredge, with York County's recent vote to purchase a dredge and with the intent to pass it along to the City of Saco and the Regional Dredge Commission, I held an initial meeting with City of Saco staff and SOS Saco Bay, who are going to be involved here in mapping out our strategy going forward. State legislative action to establish the Dredge Authority will begin in January as a first step, but there are many, many pieces to work out. This is obviously a very new thing for us and for the region. This is really, it's kind of exciting because this is uncharted waters, really. So we're going to be meeting lots more, SOS, the city, others, in the coming months to keep this thing on track with the dredge's anticipated delivery coming next summer, and then obviously dredge seasons after that. Thank you.
Thank you, City Administrator Canrath. Any questions for City Administrator Canrath? Moving on to item 12, council discussion and comment. Any council discussion and comment this evening? Councilor Johnston.
Thank you. Just a reminder that tomorrow is Election Day, and good luck to the candidates up here that are seeking election. Thank you.
Yes, I would also like to say good luck to everybody, and thank you to everybody from local all the way through all the United States. Thank you for putting your hat in the ring. It's not always easy, and it's not always glorifying, but it's always good to give back to your local communities. So thank you to everybody and good luck. And even though we've had great temperatures the last 3 days, tomorrow looks to be a little bit cooler at 52, so dress appropriately if you're going to be standing out there. With that, we're on to item 13, entertain a motion to enter executive session. Councilor Hatch.
Be it ordered that the City Council enter into executive session pursuant to MRSA Title I, Chapter 13, Subchapter 1, Section 4056E, consultation with legal counsel.
Motion's been made by Councilor Hatch. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor McPhail. Any discussion on going into executive session? Roll call to enter executive session. Councilor Archer?
Aye.
Councilor Purdy?
Yes.
Councilor Gunn?
Yes.
Councilor Berman?
Yes.
Councilor Hatch?
Yes.
Councilor McPhail?
Yes.
Councilor Johnston?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 at 7 p.m., 7:08 p.m. We will take a 10-minute recess, 10-minute brief recess, and then we'll convene downstairs in the conference room. So 10-minute recess and then downstairs in the conference room. Okay, we're back at 8:10. Is there a motion to exit executive session?
So moved.
Counselor Hatch, is there a second?
Second.
Counselor Berman, any discussion? Exiting executive session, roll call vote. Counselor Archer?
Aye.
Counselor Purdy?
Yes.
Counselor Gunn?
Yes.
Counselor Berman?
Yes.
Counselor Hatch?
Yes.
Counselor McPhail?
Yes.
Counselor Johnston?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 at 8:10. That brings us to item 14, a report from executive session. Counselor Berman?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make the public aware that 2 weeks from tonight, on November 21st, City Solicitor Tim Murphy will be presenting under new business information about public rights-of-ways, paper roads, and beach access, especially involving the paper roads across from Long Pond down in my ward.
Thank you. There is nothing further to report. That brings us to item 15. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Counselor Hatch, is there a second?
Second.
Counselor Berman, any discussion? Roll call to adjourn. Counselor Archer?
Aye.
Counselor Purdy?
Yes.
Counselor Gunn?
Yes.
Counselor Berman?
Yes.
Counselor Hatch?
Yes.
Counselor McPhail?
Yes.
Counselor Johnston?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 to adjourn at 8:10 PM. Have a great evening, everyone.